हाय गुड आफ्टरनून स्टूडेंट्स। आज हम 11वीं कक्षा की स्नैपशॉट बुक का चैप्टर नंबर 2 करने वाले हैं, जिसका टाइटल है द एड्रेस। द एड्रेस रिटन बाय मार्गा मिंको। द स्टोरी इज नरेटेड एंड टोल्ड बाय ए डॉटर। इट इज ए ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल touch of the war. This is very touching story related to the war. The narrator and his family members lived in Holland, Germany. At that time, the Hitler sent the people of the Holland in a concentration camp. What is the concentration camp? Where people are tortured during the war. So students, the story is divided into two parts. Before the war situation and after war the situation. It is very touching and very unfortunate that a war brings tensions, war brings frustration, war brings hardships. Either it is the situation before the war or after the war. The story is told and narrated by the daughter of Mrs. S. Dear students, when the war was over, the narrator was very much curious to know the belongings and possessions of her mother. The narrator mother is no more. The story is divided into the two parts. We are going to start the first part of the story. The narrator visits the house of Mrs. Darling. Mrs. Darling character है, she was living in the house address, house number 46, Marconi Street. She was a very selfish lady, she was emotionless lady, she was insensitive lady, and she was a greedy one. When the narrator visited the house 46 Marconi Street to see the belongings and possessions of his mother, because during the war the mother had shifted all the possessions to her acquaintance, her well-wisher, her friend Mrs. Darling's house, and it was discussed at that time. It was specially suggested by Mrs. Darling that all the expensive things, all the precious things, you must ship to my house. The narrator knew this story very well, and when she visited Mrs. Darling's house, she flatly refused to recognize the narrator. And the narrator recognized the lady. She was wearing the green cardigan of the mother. And she wanted to say the character Mrs. Darling that I want to have a discussion and the conversation with you. But she flatly refused to talk to her. Any time I would have the conversation with you. Dear students, one day when she was at home, the narrator, and she saw the same lady at the home, and narrator's mother, Mrs. S, told Mrs. Darling that she is my daughter. And when I asked to Mama, ki where does this lady live? Mummy told me the address, house number 46 Marconi Street. And since my childhood, I remembered this address and I wanted to visit this address. I wanted to see the possessions, the things of my mother, the belongings of my mother, because they revived my memories. What were the possessions were shifted to Mrs. Darling's house? Green cardigan, old candle container, woolen tablecloth, silver cutlery, antiques. All these things were shifted there. They were in the strange space. It was very much horrible and fearful for the narrator to remember, to memorize, and to see and to watch the belongings. Dear students, she flatly refused. But the second time, the narrator had very much curiosity. She was very much curious to watch these things, and she visited the second time. When she found 15 years old daughter, she was the daughter of Mrs. Darling, and I want to meet your mama. The daughter of Mrs. Darling told the narrator that she has gone to market for the important work and she would come back very shortly and keep waiting to meet my mama. I entered in the house. When I entered in the house, I found first of all the old container, old candle container. However, it was not useful for us because we had to light a single candle. But after that, I developed a conversation with Mrs. Darling's daughter, and she told me about many things. When I was sitting in the living room of Mrs. Darling, I found the same woolen tablecloth. There was a burn mark. एक जलने का निशान था. I recognized the same thing. After that, she told me about the antics. When she brought a cup of tea for me, the kettle, which had a brown container, and it was looking very beautiful, my inner conscience was saying me that it was mine, it was my mama's. And I found all these things in the strange house very curious. I was feeling surprised and shocked to find the things. These things revived the memory. I remember my loving mother who was no more in this world. And after that, because all these things were connected with somebody who was no more in this world, and I decided to leave that place without meeting Mrs. Darling, because all these things had lost the charm, all these things had lost the values for me. I did not want to possess the things because the things were connected with the memory of my loving mother, which could give me pain, which could give me fear, which could be horrible for me. So I decided to forget the things which had lost the values and charm for me, and I decided to forget the address. I did not want to visit at that address. This shows a very positive attitude of the narrator. And this is the end of the story. I have briefly explained the story. Now student, the story is based on the three themes. Whatever I have come to conclude after reading the story is based on the three themes. The first theme, hardships faced by the family before and after the war. During the war or before the war, they have left their place, they have left their things and the possessions, and the mother was no more in this world, his father was no more in this world, and after the war, she faced the hardships, the memories, the pain related to the possessions of the mother, and the behavior, insensitive attitude of the people after the war, and greedy nature of the people, selfish nature of the people like Mrs. Darling. So these were the hardships after the war. Optimistic attitude. The narrator is highly optimistic. She believes in the fact that optimism brings tolerance, optimism brings patience, optimism paves the way to lead the life comfortably. So that is why she declared that I want to forget that address. No more I want to remember the things, no more I want to remember the address, no more I want to visit Mrs. Darling's house. The third, the war. The story revolves around the war. The war brings hardships, the war brings sorrows, the war brings miseries, ultimate death. It disturbs the normal routine of the life. It leads to the conflicts and the tensions. So this story gives us a valuable message that we should say farewell to the war. War only brings the problems, sorrows, tragedies, troubles, ultimate death, disturb the normal life and everything. So dear students, this is the main question related to the story, the theme of the war, right? And this is the end of the story today. And now the story is over. I will provide you to the questions and answer related to the text, related to the summary, related to the textuals. The students are kindly requested to continue the word to word reading of the textbook, understand and write down all the question answer related, in your fair copy. Thank you. Have a good day.